rope around Sarah's throat is too tight. She can feel her pulse beating against the coarse fibers, each heartbeat a reminder that she's still alive. For now. The wooden platform beneath her bare feet has been worn smooth by countless others who stood here before her. Omega girls with hollow eyes and broken spirits, sold like grain sacks to the highest bidder. The auction yard reeks of desperation. Sarah's curse, her gift, forces her to smell every layer of it. Fear rises from the huddled slaves like smoke, sharp and acrid. Greed oozes from the buyers circling the platform, thick as rancid oil. And underneath it all, the sour stench of cruelty waiting to be unleashed. Being Scentborn is supposed to be rare, precious. The elders of her fallen pack once told her she could smell the truth hiding beneath lies, sense danger before it struck. Read intentions as clearly as words on parchment. Some Scentborn even develop the gift of healing touch, a warmth that flows from their hands when someone is in pain. Sarah has both gifts, though she's kept the healing hidden for years. Now her abilities just mean she can smell exactly how much these men want to hurt her. Lot 47, the auctioneer bellows, yanking the rope to force her head up. His breath washes over her face, rotting teeth and cheap ale. Female Omega, 20 winters, healthy enough, bit quiet, but she'll learn to scream when you want her to. Scattered laughter ripples through the crowd. Sarah keeps her eyes down, her wolf pressed flat against her soul, too starved and beaten to even whimper. She's Scentborn, the auctioneer adds, almost as an afterthought. If you believe in that old wives' tale. The crowd's interest sharpens. Sarah feels their gazes crawling over her skin like insects. To most, Scentborn are myth. Fairy stories told to pups around the fire. But some know the truth. Some know what a nose like hers could do in the right hands. Or the wrong ones. Starting at 40 silver. Silence. The auctioneer's confidence wavers. 30 silver. Come now, she's young. Plenty of use left in her. A man pushes through the crowd, massive shoulders, a face like cracked leather, hands that could crush bone without effort. Sarah's stomach clenches as his scent hits her. Violence, hunger, not for food, but for pain. He enjoys breaking things. I'll give you 15, he growls. Look at her, skinny as a winter rabbit. Doubt she'd last a month in my mines. His name is Brock. She doesn't need to hear it spoken. She can smell his identity in the dried blood under his fingernails, the coal dust embedded in his skin, the death that clings to him like a second shadow. 15 silver from Brock, the auctioneer says, relief bleeding into his voice. Anyone else? 15 silver for a Scentborn Omega? No one moves. No one speaks. Brock grins, his yellowed teeth gleaming. 10, he counters. She's half dead already. I'm doing you a favor taking her off your hands. The auctioneer's mouth opens to protest, but something makes him stop. Makes everyone stop. Sarah feels it before she understands it. A pressure in the air, a weight settling over the auction yard like a storm cloud descending. Her wolf, dormant for months, suddenly stirs. Not with fear, but with something older. Something instinctive. Submit, her blood whispers. Submit or be destroyed. The crowd parts like water around a blade. She shouldn't look up. Every survival instinct screams at her to keep her eyes down, to make herself small, and to disappear. But something stronger compels her gaze upward, and then she sees him. He moves through the crowd with the unhurried grace of a predator who has never known fear. Tall, broad, dark hair falling across features sharp enough to cut, a jaw like hewn granite, cheekbones that catch the light like blades. His clothes are simple but immaculate, the kind of understated quality that speaks of power so absolute it needs no display. But it's his eyes that stop her heart. Silver, cold as winter stars, ancient as the mountains themselves, the Alpha King of Iron Vale. 100 gold. His voice cuts through the silence like a blade through silk. Low, commanding, final. Not a bid, a decree. The auctioneer goes white. My lord, Alpha King Kale. Surely you don't mean... Do I stutter? The words carry no heat, but the auctioneer flinches as if struck. No, my lord, of course not. 100 gold, sold to... Wait. Brock's voice is hoarse with disbelief. I had first claim. The bidding was... The Alpha King's gaze shifts to him. Just a glance. Nothing more. Brock stumbles backward as if shoved by an invisible hand. His face drains of color, his earlier bravado evaporating like morning dew. Without another word, he turns and flees the auction yard, nearly trampling 2 other buyers in his haste to escape. Sarah's mind reels. 100 gold. For her. A starving omega from a destroyed pack, worth less than the rope around her neck. Why? The Alpha King steps onto the platform, and suddenly the wooden boards feel like the deck of a ship in a storm. His presence is overwhelming, not just his size, though he towers over her, but something deeper. Something that makes her wolf want to bare its throat and her human heart want to run. He studies her with those impossible pale eyes. No warmth, no cruelty, just assessment. Then his nostrils flare slightly. Your scent, he says quietly, so only she can hear. It's true then. You're Scentborn. Sarah's voice comes out as barely a whisper. Yes, my lord. What do you smell on me? The question catches her off guard. No one has ever asked her that before. No one has ever wanted to know what she could read in their scent. She hesitates, then takes a careful breath. His scent washes over her like a wave, steel and pine and cold mountain wind. Power, vast and controlled, like a river dammed behind walls of iron will. But beneath that, pain. Old pain, buried so deep it has become part of him. Loneliness, the kind that comes from standing apart, above, always watching for the knife in the dark. And something else, something that makes her breath catch. Death. Recent. He killed someone today. Someone he once trusted. Well? His voice is flat, giving nothing away. Sarah swallows hard. Strength, my lord. Control. And... She hesitates. Say it. Grief, she whispers. You carry grief like armor. For a single heartbeat, something flickers in those pale eyes. Then it's gone, locked away behind walls of ice. Theron, he calls, and a scarred warrior materializes from the crowd. Take her to Shadow Peak. See that she's fed and given proper quarters. The guard nods sharply. And her purpose, my lord? The Alpha King is already walking away, dismissing her from his attention as easily as breathing, but his answer carries back to her, quiet and cold as falling snow. She'll serve. That's all she needs to know. The journey to Shadow Peak takes 3 days. Sarah rides in a covered wagon with 2 other servants, silent women who avoid her eyes and speak only in whispers. The Alpha King's warriors flank them like shadows, their massive wolf forms weaving through the mountain passes with predatory ease. She catches glimpses of him sometimes, when the wagon curtains shift. Always at the head of the column, his black wolf form cutting through the mist like a blade. He never looks back, never acknowledges her existence, but she can smell him even from this distance. His scent travels on the wind, and her scent-born senses catch every nuance, the controlled tension in his body, the constant alertness, even among his own men. The old pain that never quite fades. Who hurt you? She wonders. Who taught you to trust no one? On the 2nd day, the wagon wheel shatters against a hidden rock. Sarah tumbles from the wagon bed, her weakened body unable to catch itself. She hits the frozen ground hard, the impact driving the air from her lungs. Around her, the warriors barely pause. Omega's down, one mutters. Figures. Leave her. She can walk or she can die. Either way, we don't slow for weakness. Sarah pushes herself up on trembling arms, but her legs won't cooperate. Months of starvation have stolen her strength. Her wolf, once quick and sure-footed, is a ghost of herself. Please, she whispers, but no one is listening. Heavy footsteps approach. She braces herself for a kick, for rough hands dragging her upright, for the casual cruelty she's learned to expect. Instead, arms slip beneath her, strong and impossibly gentle. She's lifted from the frozen ground as if she weighs nothing at all. Her face presses against a chest armored in hardened leather, and his scent surrounds her. Steel and pine and that deep, aching loneliness. The Alpha King carries her. Her shock is so complete she forgets to breathe. This is the conqueror of the Northern Territories, the wolf who united 5 warring packs under his banner, the king whose enemies speak his name in whispers, if they dare speak it at all. And he's carrying a starving Omega through a mountain pass like she matters. My lord, Theron's voice cuts through her daze. The men will talk. This shows. Let them talk. Weakness. Theron finishes quietly. It shows weakness. The Alpha King's arms tighten fractionally around her. It shows nothing except that broken wheels and frozen roads require practical solutions. She can't walk. The wagon is damaged. Would you have me leave her for the wolves? Something in his tone makes Sarah's chest clench. He doesn't believe his own words, she realizes. He's justifying himself. Why? She stays silent, barely daring to breathe as he carries her up the mountain path. His stride never falters, his breathing never changes, though the climb is brutal and she is not nothing. When Shadow Peak finally emerges from the mist, her breath catches. The fortress is carved into the mountain itself. Black stone and sharp angles, towers rising like claws toward the iron-gray sky. It doesn't look like a home. It looks like a weapon waiting to strike. The massive gates groan open at their approach, revealing a courtyard filled with warriors in mid-drill. Snarls and the clash of steel echo off the stone walls. Even the children here bear wooden swords, their small faces twisted in fierce concentration. No one smiles. No one laughs. The very air tastes of barely restrained violence. The Alpha King sets her down in the center of the courtyard, his hands lingering for just a moment before he steps back. His face reveals nothing. Mira, he calls, and an older woman hurries forward. Iron-gray hair pulled back severely, eyes sharp as flint. This Omega is called Sarah. She's to have a room in the servants' wing. See that she's fed and clean. Mira's gaze sweeps over Sarah with cold assessment. And her duties, my lord? She'll serve where she's needed. Before Mira can respond, a voice cuts across the courtyard like a blade wrapped in silk. Nephew. The Alpha King goes still. It's subtle, a slight tension in his shoulders, a hardening around his eyes. But Sarah catches it, and more importantly, she catches the scent that accompanies the voice. Malice, calculation, ambition coiled like a viper waiting to strike. The man who approaches could be the Alpha King's brother. Same sharp features, same powerful build. But where the king's coldness feels like winter frost, this man's radiates like poison. Uncle Varn. The Alpha King's tone is carefully neutral. You weren't expected at the fortress. I heard you made an unusual purchase at the southern auctions. Varn's pale eyes slide to Sarah, and she has to fight not to recoil. His scent makes her stomach turn. Rot hidden beneath perfume, corruption masked by power. A Scentborn Omega. How sentimental. It was a practical acquisition, nothing more. And yet you carried her through the pass, where everyone could see. Varn steps closer, his voice dropping. The pack, watches everything you do, Kale. Every gesture, every moment of softness. We've worked too hard to build Iron Veil's reputation on strength. One Omega changes nothing. One Omega could change everything. Varn's smile doesn't reach his eyes. If she makes you forget what we are, what we must be. Mira's hand closes around Sarah's arm, pulling her toward the fortress entrance. But Sarah can still hear Varn's final words, carried on the cold wind. Weakness is a cancer, nephew. Cut it out before it spreads. 3 weeks pass in Shadow Peak's shadow. Sarah learns the rhythm of the fortress like a prisoner learns the walls of their cell. Dawn brings the clash of weapons in the training yards. Midday sees servants scurrying through corridors of black stone, silent and efficient. Evening brings wounded warriors limping back to their quarters, nursing injuries that make her instincts ache. But no one wants her help. She discovers this the first time she approaches a young warrior with a badly sprained wrist. His training partner had twisted it past the breaking point, leaving it swollen and purple. "Let me help," she says softly. "I can smell the inflammation. The joint is—" The warrior recoils like she's offered him poison. "Get away from me." "But the pain makes us strong." He spits at her feet. "That's the Iron Veil way. We heal ourselves or we die. Your kind of help is for the weak." The pattern repeats itself over and over. A cook burns her hand on a hot pan. Sarah offers to help and gets screamed at for encouraging carelessness. A guard develops a festering cut that could turn dangerous. Her suggestion of treatment earns her a lecture about how real wolves don't coddle minor wounds. Each rejection cuts deeper than the last. If they don't want healing, she thinks bitterly, what do they want me for? She asks Mira once, in a moment of desperate confusion. The Alpha King paid 100 gold for me. He asked about my abilities at the auction. But if I'm not meant to use them, then why am I here? Mira's lined face reveals nothing. You're here to serve. That's all any of us are here for. So Sarah scrubs floors, tends fires, carries meals to warriors who look through her like she's made of glass. She keeps her head down and her mouth shut. But her Scentborn nose never stops working. She smells the fear beneath the fortress's harsh surface. The warriors train themselves to exhaustion not out of pride, but out of terror. Terror of being seen as weak, of being cast out, of becoming prey instead of predator. And she smells Varn. His scent is everywhere, even when he isn't. It lingers in the corridors like a stain, clinging to the warriors who carry out his orders, poisoning the air in the council chambers. Whatever he is, whatever he wants, his influence has seeped into Shadow Peak's very stones. Late one night, Sarah can't sleep. She walks the corridors without thinking, letting her feet carry her where they will. The torches burn low at this hour, casting dancing shadows on the black stone. She finds herself outside the great hall. Voices drift through the heavy doors, the Alpha King's low rumble and Varn's silk-wrapped poison. She should leave. She should go back to her room and forget she ever heard anything. But her Scentborn curse won't let her. She presses closer, letting their scents tell her what their words won't. The Alpha King smells of exhaustion, not physical tiredness, but something deeper. The weariness of a man carrying a weight too heavy for any single pair of shoulders. And Varn. Varn smells of triumph, satisfaction, the oily pleasure of a spider watching a fly struggle in its web. The northern borders are unstable, the Alpha King is saying. The Thornback Pack has been testing our patrols. Then crush them. Varn's voice is smooth as poisoned honey. Make an example. That's what your father would have done. My father is dead. I rule Iron Veil now. Yes, you do. And how long do you think you'll keep ruling if our enemies sense weakness? Sarah hears footsteps approaching the door and hurries away, her pulse racing. She shouldn't have listened. She shouldn't know any of this. But as she flees back to her room, one thought burns brighter than fear. Varn is dangerous. And the Alpha King doesn't realize how dangerous. The morning dawns cold and gray, frost painting the training yard in silver. Sarah is carrying water to the warriors when it happens. The young wolves are drilling in formation, aerial combat techniques that send them leaping and twisting through the air. It's brutal to watch. More brutal when they fall wrong and bones crack against the frozen ground. A boy goes down hard, 12 winters at most, his body not yet grown into its wolf's potential. He lands on his arm at a terrible angle, the snap of bone audible even across the yard. The training master barely glances at him. Get up. The boy tries. Fails. His arm hangs at an angle that makes Sarah's stomach turn. I said get up. The master's boot connects with the boy's ribs. Pain is nothing. Weakness is everything. Get up or die where you fall. Something hot and bright ignites in Sarah's chest. She's moving before she can stop herself, water sloshing from her buckets as she pushes through the watching warriors. They're all just standing there, these massive, powerful wolves, watching a child be beaten for the crime of having breakable bones. Stop. The word tears from her throat, louder than she's ever spoken in Shadow Peak. Leave him alone. The training master turns to stare at her, his scarred face twisted with disbelief. What did you say to me, Omega? I said stop. Sarah drops to her knees beside the boy, her hands already reaching for his shattered arm. His bone is broken. The compound fracture could sever an artery. He could bleed out if... He could die a warrior's death. The master's boot draws back to strike her. And you could learn your place. His scent hits her like a wall. Rage and wounded pride and the desperate need to prove himself before the watching eyes. He's going to hurt her, badly. But before the blow can land, a new scent cuts through the training yard. Cold steel, mountain wind, ancient, terrible power. Enough. The Alpha King stands at the edge of the yard, his pale eyes fixed on the scene before him. His face reveals nothing but his scent. His scent is a maelstrom. Fury. Conflict. And underneath it all, a desperate, painful hope. My king. The training master stammers, dropping to one knee. This Omega dared to interfere with training. I saw what she did. The Alpha King's gaze moves to Sarah, still kneeling in the frost with her hands on the broken boy's arm. I saw what you did as well. The master's scent shifts to fear. The boy was weak. He needed to learn. He needed a healer. The words are quiet, but they carry like thunder. A broken arm that heals crooked is a warrior lost. A severed artery is a soldier dead before his time. Sarah's hands have begun to glow. She doesn't mean to do it. The power simply rises, called by the boy's pain and her own desperate need to help. Warmth flows from her palms into his shattered arm, and she feels the bone respond, fragments drawing together, vessels sealing, tissue knitting itself whole. The boy gasps as the pain fades, staring at his healed arm with wonder. Murmurs ripple through the watching warriors. Some disgusted, some confused, but some smell of something Sarah hasn't encountered in Shadow Peak before. Hope. This is not our way. Varn's voice cuts across the yard as he emerges from the fortress, his pale eyes blazing. This Omega corrupts our warriors with her weakness. She must be punished. The Alpha King doesn't respond immediately. His gaze remains fixed on Sarah, and she meets it without flinching. She knows she should look away. She knows she's broken every rule that governs her existence here. But she can smell something shifting in him. Something cracking. The boy will return to training tomorrow, he says finally. Fully healed, fully functional. That is practical. That is efficient. His eyes never leave Sarah's. That is not weakness. Nephew, Varn starts. This discussion is over. The Alpha King's voice carries the full weight of his authority, and even Varn falls silent. Return to your duties, all of you. The crowd disperses slowly, warriors casting uncertain glances between their king and the Omega, who dared to defy everything they'd been taught. Sarah helps the boy to his feet, her legs trembling. As he runs off to rejoin his cohort, she feels the Alpha King's presence behind her. You disobeyed, he says quietly. Yes, my lord. You showed your power publicly, without permission. Yes, my lord. You defied my training master in front of his students. Yes, my lord. She forces herself to turn and face him. I would do it again. Something flickers in those pale eyes. I know. He turns away, striding toward the fortress without another word. But Sarah catches the faintest trace of something new in his scent. Not anger, not disappointment. Pride. The summons comes 3 nights later. Sarah is mending a torn apron by candlelight when the knock echoes through her small room, sharp, authoritative. She opens the door to find Theron standing in the corridor, his scarred face unreadable. The Alpha King requests your presence. Her pulse quickens. Now? It's past midnight. Now. She follows him through corridors she's never seen before, climbing stairs that spiral deeper into the fortress's heart. The air grows warmer here, softer somehow, as if the black stone itself has learned to breathe. They stop before massive oak doors carved with wolves running beneath a crescent moon. Theron knocks once, then steps aside. Enter when called. Enter. The Alpha King's voice, muffled by wood and stone. Sarah pushes open the doors and forgets how to breathe. The chamber is nothing like the rest of Shadow Peak. Rich tapestries line the walls, scenes of hunts and battles rendered in crimson and gold. A fire crackles in a hearth large enough to roast a stag, casting dancing shadows across fur rugs and leather-bound books. Him. The Alpha King stands silhouetted against the flames, still dressed in his formal attire though the hour is late. Without his armor, without the cold mask he wears in public, he looks almost human, almost vulnerable. Close the door. She obeys, suddenly hyper-aware of every sound, the soft click of the latch, the pop and hiss of burning logs, the thunder of her own heartbeat. You wanted to see me, my lord? I want to understand you. He turns to face her, firelight catching his pale eyes. You told me you could smell my grief. You defied my training master, used forbidden power, and challenged everything Ironvale stands for. Sarah's mouth goes dry. If this is about punishment, it's about truth. He moves closer. What do you smell on me now, Scentborn? She shouldn't answer honestly, but something in his voice, something desperate and half-buried, won't let her lie. Conflict, she whispers. You're at war with yourself. Part of you believes what your uncle taught you, that suffering makes strength, that kindness is corruption. But another part, go on. Another part remembers something different. Someone different. She meets his eyes. You weren't always this cold. Someone taught you warmth once, before they taught you to bury it. The Alpha King goes very still. For a long moment, only the fire speaks. Then he turns away, one hand gripping the mantle as if he needs it to stay standing. My mother. The words come rough, like stones dragged across gravel. She was a healer. Like you, in a way. She believed in mercy, in second chances, in the strength of an open hand instead of a closed fist. Sarah doesn't move, doesn't breathe. She can smell the old wound tearing open, feel the grief that's been locked away for years finally finding voice. Our pack was called Silver Hollow. Small, but prosperous. We traded with our neighbors, helped those in need, and welcomed strangers at our gates. His laugh is bitter as ash. We thought that made us strong. What happened? Betrayal. The word falls like a blade. A neighboring pack we'd sheltered through a harsh winter. We gave them food, medicine, sanctuary. And when spring came, they returned with 500 warriors and slaughtered everyone who couldn't run fast enough. His grip on the mantle tightens until his knuckles go white. I was 12. I watched them kill my father first. He died trying to negotiate, still believing he could reason with them. My mother hid me in a root cellar, then went back to heal the wounded. Sarah's eyes burn with unshed tears. She didn't survive. She survived long enough for them to make an example of her. His voice drops to a whisper. My uncle found me 3 days later, half dead from cold and hunger. He and a handful of survivors were all that remained of Silver Hollow. I'm sorry. The words feel inadequate, but she means them with every fiber of her being. Varn saved my life. He taught me that the world doesn't reward kindness, it punishes it. He built Ironvale on the bones of that lesson. The Alpha King finally turns to face her, and his eyes are haunted. Everything I've done has been to ensure my pack never suffers the way Silver Hollow did. By making them suffer differently. The words slip out before she can stop them. She braces for anger, for the cold fury she's seen him unleash on others. Instead, he laughs, a broken, hollow sound. You're braver than you look, little Scentborn. Or more foolish. Perhaps both. He studies her face in the firelight. You asked me once why I bought you, why I paid 100 gold for a starving Omega from a dead pack. You never answered. Because I didn't know the answer. Not then. He steps closer, close enough that she can feel the heat radiating from his body. But when you healed that boy, when you looked at me like I was worth defying the entire fortress for, I understood. Sarah's breath quickens. Understood what? That I'm tired. His voice cracks. Tired of watching my people suffer for a philosophy I'm no longer sure I believe. Tired of being the monster my uncle created because I was too afraid to be anything else. His hand rises, hesitates, and then gently cups her cheek. His palm is warm and calloused and impossibly tender. You remind me of her, he murmurs. My mother. That same stubborn mercy, that same refusal to let cruelty go unchallenged. Sarah's breath catches. My lord. Kale. His thumb traces her cheekbone. When we're alone, call me Kale. The intimacy of his name on her tongue makes her shiver. Kale. I can't change Ironvale overnight. Varn has too much influence, too many loyal followers. But I need you to know, what you did today mattered. It mattered to me. Then let me do more. The request tumbles out before she can stop it. Let me help when lives are at stake. Not just scrubbing floors and carrying water. Let me use what I am. His jaw tightens. It's dangerous. Varn already sees you as a threat. Varn will see me as a threat whether I'm useful or not. At least let my existence mean something. For a long moment he simply looks at her, this strange, fierce Omega who speaks to him like no one else dares. Then, slowly, he nods. Emergencies only. When lives hang in the balance, you may use your gifts. But you must be careful, Sarah. My uncle is not a man who forgives those who challenge him. I know. She can smell Varn's malice even now, lingering in the corridors like poison. I'll be careful. See that you are. His hand falls from her face and she mourns the loss of warmth. You should return to your quarters. It's late. She turns toward the door, then stops. Kale? Yes? Your mother sounds like she was remarkable. His smile is small and sad and beautiful. She was, and I think she would have liked you very much. The Alpha King rides out 3 days later. Border skirmishes with the Thornback pack have escalated. Kale takes 200 warriors, his black wolf form disappearing into the mist before dawn. Sarah watches from the battlements, her chest tight with an emotion she refuses to name. Come back safe. In his absence, something unexpected begins. A kitchen girl approaches with a badly burned hand, tears streaming down her face. Please. The cook says if I can't work, she'll turn me out. I heard you can help. Sarah heals the burn without hesitation. The girl's sob of relief is worth any risk. Word spreads quietly. The Omega can help. She won't tell. She won't judge. They come in the dark hours. Servants with twisted ankles, stable hands with broken fingers. Each healing is small, but how can she turn away? The servants begin to change. Small smiles appear. Kindness passes hand to hand like contraband. Even some warriors soften. A trainer who once kicked fallen recruits now helps them to their feet. 2 weeks pass, then 3. She's in the herb garden when emergency horns wail. Through the gates come 3 exhausted riders, and at their head, slumped over his saddle, rides the Alpha King. Healer. Where is the Scentborn healer? Sarah pushes through the crowd. What happened? Ambush. Poisoned weapons. Someone told them exactly where to strike. 3 deep gashes across his torso, flesh already blackening. Bring him inside, now. She works through the night. The poison fights her at every turn. Nightshade and wolfsbane and something alchemical. His skin grows ashen. His breathing becomes erratic. Stay with me, she whispers. You stubborn wolf, stay with me. Dawn breaks before the tide turns. The poison retreats. Color returns to his face. Sarah collapses beside his bed, utterly spent. When she opens her eyes, pale ones look back at her. You saved me. Someone had to. She manages a weak smile. You're terrible at dodging poisoned blades. His hand finds hers. The ambush wasn't random. Someone told them where to find us. A traitor. In my own pack. I need your help to find them. His grip tightens. You can smell lies. She nods. Will you help me save Ironvale? Yes. The hunt for the traitor begins quietly. Kyle recovers with unnatural speed thanks to Sarah's healing, but he keeps his full strength hidden. Better to let the traitor think their poison worked, that their king is weakened and vulnerable. Better to let them grow bold. Sarah moves through the fortress with new purpose, her Scentborn senses attuned to every whisper of deception. She learns to read the subtle variations in guilt, the sour tang of recent lies, the sharp bite of hidden malice, and the cloying sweetness of false loyalty. Most of the pack smells clean, worried sometimes, afraid, often, but honest in their fear. But there's one scent that troubles her more than any other. Varn. The Alpha King's uncle has been absent since Kale's return, supposedly visiting allied packs. But his scent lingers in the fortress like smoke after a fire, and everywhere she finds it, she finds something else. Fear. The kind that comes from knowing too much. I need to speak with you. Sarah catches Kale alone in the war room, maps spread across the table. About your uncle. His jaw tightens. What about him? His scent is wrong. Has been since I arrived. But I didn't understand what I was smelling until now. She moves closer, lowering her voice. The poison that nearly killed you, I've smelled traces of it before. Here in the fortress. In places your uncle frequents. The Alpha King goes very still. You're accusing my uncle of trying to murder me. I'm telling you what my nose knows. She meets his eyes steadily. I could be wrong. But I don't think I am. For a long moment he doesn't respond. His scent is a maelstrom, fury and denial and, underneath it all, a terrible dawning recognition. He raised me, Kyle says finally, his voice hollow. After Silver Hollow fell, he was the only family I had left. I know. And you're asking me to believe he wants me dead? Sarah's heart breaks at the pain in his voice. I'm asking you to consider the possibility. To be careful. She reaches out, her hand finding his. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But if I'm not. If you're not, then everything I thought I knew is a lie. The door crashes open. Varn stands in the entrance, his pale eyes blazing with fury. Behind him stand 6 warriors, his personal guard. Nephew, the word drips with venom. I return to find you alive and well, despite reports of your near-fatal injuries. And here, whispering secrets with the Omega Witch who's been corrupting our pack. Kale steps forward, positioning himself between Sarah and his uncle. Varn, I wasn't expecting you back so soon. Clearly. Varn's gaze slides to Sarah, and she sees murder in his eyes. Did she tell you her lies? Did she poison your mind the way she's poisoned everything else in Shadow Peak? She told me her observations. I'm considering them. Considering them. Varn laughs, harsh and ugly. This creature has been here for weeks, spreading her weakness like a disease, and you're considering her accusations against your own blood? I'm considering everything, including the poison that nearly killed me. Poison that someone in this pack provided to our enemies. Something flickers across Varn's face, but Sarah's nose catches what her eyes don't. Guilt, sharp and sour and unmistakable. You think I betrayed you? Varn's voice rises. I saved you from Silver Hollow. I built you into a king. Then you won't mind if I investigate. If you're innocent, you have nothing to fear. The silence that follows is heavy as stone. Then Varn smiles. A cold, terrible expression. I'd hoped it wouldn't come to this. I'd hoped you'd see reason. His hand moves to his belt. But you've chosen weakness over strength. Sentiment over survival. A blade gleams in his grip, the same oily sheen Sarah recognizes from Kale's wounds. Just like your father. The warriors behind him draw their weapons. Varn. Kale's voice is deadly quiet. Don't do this. You've left me no choice. Iron Veil cannot survive under a weak king. It needs strength, purpose. Varn raises the poisoned blade. It needs me. He lunges. Kyle catches his wrist, twisting with brutal efficiency, but the 6 warriors surge forward. The war room explodes into chaos, snarling wolves and flashing steel and the copper scent of blood. Sarah presses herself against the wall, watching in horror as Kale fights his own pack. He's magnificent in combat, each movement precise and deadly, but he's outnumbered. A blade catches his shoulder. Another opens a gash across his ribs. Kale! She screams. Varn breaks free from the melee, his poisoned dagger aimed at Kale's exposed back. And then Sarah smells it. The sharp spike of killing intent, the moment before the strike lands. Behind you! She cries, her voice barely a murmur lost in the chaos. But Kale hears. He twists aside just as the blade descends. Not fast enough. The dagger catches his arm instead of his spine, but the poison is already spreading. Sarah doesn't think, doesn't plan. Her body simply acts, throwing itself between the Alpha King and Varn's second strike. The blade sinks into her side. The pain is unlike anything she's ever felt. Cold fire spreading through her veins. She crumples, gasping, and sees Varn's face twist with fury. Stupid girl, you've only delayed the inevitable. But the moment's distraction is enough. Kale's roar shakes the walls as he tears through Varn's remaining guards. His eyes have gone gold, his wolf surging to the surface with terrible fury. When he reaches his uncle, there's no hesitation. His claws punch through Varn's chest. The beta's eyes go wide with shock, then dim as life leaves them. He crumples to the floor. Sarah. Kale drops to, his knees beside her, hands pressing against the wound. No. No. No, no. Had to. Her voice is barely a whisper. Couldn't let him. Don't talk. Save your strength. His hands are shaking. Someone get a healer. I am the healer, she manages, and laughs weakly at the irony. Then heal yourself. Please. His voice breaks. Sarah, please. She tries. She reaches for her power, but it slips through her fingers like water. The poison is designed to kill wolves, and she, despite her gift, is still wolf beneath her skin. Can't. Too weak. The poison. Then take my strength. He grasps her hand, pressing it against his chest. Whatever you need. Take it. Take all of it. Kale. I won't lose you. Tears track down his face, the Alpha King of Iron Vale weeping for a servant Omega. I can't. Not after everything. Not after you showed me. His scent washes over her, and even through the haze of poison she smells what he cannot say. Love. Desperate and terrified and absolute. He loves her. She closes her eyes and reaches, not for her own power, but for his. For the vast, untapped well of alpha strength that burns at the core of him. It flows into her like sunlight, like hope, like everything she never dared to want. The healing begins. The healing takes everything she has. Sarah floats in darkness, aware of nothing except the poison burning through her veins and Kale's strength flowing into her like a lifeline. His power is vast, an ocean where hers is merely a stream, and she draws from it desperately. The poison fights back. But it wasn't designed for this, for two souls bound together, their power intertwined like roots beneath the earth. Stay with me, she hears. Don't leave me in the dark again. She reaches for him through the haze and finds him reaching back. The connection forms. Not just power, but something more intimate, a brushing of souls. She feels his fear, his guilt, his love, fierce and terrified and vast, and underneath it all, a prayer. Please, please, please. The poison shatters. She gasps, eyes flying open, and finds herself cradled in Kale's arms. His face is haggard, dark circles bruising his eyes. But when he sees her looking at him, the smile that breaks across his features is like the sun emerging from storm clouds. You came back. Someone has to keep putting you back together. He laughs, broken, beautiful, and pulls her close, face buried in her hair. She feels wetness against her scalp. The Alpha King, weeping with relief. I thought I'd lost you. When you took that blade, I know. I can't lose you. Not ever. He pulls back, pale eyes blazing. When you were dying, something broke inside me. Kale, I love you. The words fall like a confession, like a vow. Maybe since the auction yard when you told me I carried grief like armor. Maybe since you defied my pact to save a child. I love you, Sarah. Tears spill down her cheeks. I love you too. You shouldn't. I'm broken. Everything gentle in me died with my mother. No, she cups his face. It just went to sleep, and I intend to spend as long as it takes waking it back up. He stares at her, something raw flickering in his gaze. Then he leans forward and presses his lips to hers. The kiss starts soft, tentative, questioning. But when she responds, fingers tangling in his hair, something ignites. He kisses her like a drowning man kisses air. When they break apart, his forehead rests against hers. Marry me, he whispers. Her heart stops. What? Be my queen, my mate. His hands frame her face like she's sacred. Help me rebuild Iron Vale into something worthy of you. I'm an Omega, a servant. Your pack would never... My pack will accept what I tell them. Anyone who doesn't can challenge me. His smile turns fierce. I'd welcome the exercise. She laughs through her tears. You're serious? I've never been more serious. He kisses her softly. Say yes. She thinks of Silver Hollow, destroyed by misplaced trust, of Shadow Peak, built on suffering, of the servants who smile now, the children who laugh, of a boy who watched his parents die and built walls so high he forgot what sunlight looked like. Yes, she whispers. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes to everything. His roar of joy shakes the walls. Spring comes to Shadow Peak, and with it, transformation. Where once there were only training grounds, Gardens now bloom with healing herbs. Laughter echoes through corridors that once knew only silence. Children play in courtyards where they once drilled with wooden swords. Warriors still train, but now they train to protect, not to dominate. 6 months have passed since the night Sarah nearly died. She's trained 3 young wolves with healing gifts, establishing Shadow Peak's first proper medical corps. She's sat beside Kale in council meetings, her Scentborn abilities helping navigate pack politics. She's happy. Truly, deeply happy. You're thinking too loudly. Kale's voice comes from behind her, warm with amusement. His arms wrap around her waist. I can smell it from across the courtyard. She laughs, leaning into his embrace. And what do my thoughts smell like? Contentment. Peace. He nuzzles her neck, lips brushing the mating mark he gave her 3 months ago. Love. They stand together in comfortable silence, watching the fortress that has become their home. That night, as the full moon rises, the pack gathers in the great courtyard. Kale stands at the center, Sarah at his side, their fingers intertwined. 6 months ago, he begins, I ruled through fear. I demanded suffering because I thought it built strength. I was wrong. He raises their joined hands, moonlight catching on her silver ring, forged from the melted blade that nearly killed her. This woman showed me another way. She taught me that true strength isn't about how many we defeat, but how many we protect. That mercy isn't weakness. It's the hardest courage there is. Iron Veil will always be strong, but from this day forward, we will also be kind. We will heal as readily as we fight. His voice rises, ringing off the walls. We will be the pack my mother dreamed of, and the pack my mate deserves. The howl starts low, then spreads until the entire pack sings to the moon. Not a war cry, but something older. A song of unity, of hope, of home. Later, alone in their chambers, Kale pulls her close. Thank you, he murmurs, for saving me, not just from the poison, but from myself. She traces his jaw. You would have found your way eventually. You're a good man, Kyle. You just forgot for a while. Maybe, but I'm glad I didn't have to find it alone. You'll never be alone again. She seals the promise with a kiss. I'll always be here, your healer, your mate, your home. 2 souls broken by grief and healed by love. 2 wolves, running together beneath an endless moon. 1 pack, transformed by a quiet Omega who refused to let cruelty win. And somewhere, in the spaces between heartbeats, the ghost of a healer smiles down at her son and the woman who saved him. Well done, the wind whispers. Well done, my loves. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed Sarah and Kale's story.